Are you tired of blending in with the crowd, trying to make a personal name for yourself? Do you truly want to create a personal brand that helps you stand out and grow success and profitability in your business? Then you are not going to want to miss today's episode of CPTV, where I sit down with a personal branding strategist and coach, and she is going to give you the strategies and the tips to walk you through how to start from scratch in creating a personal brand that can take you to the next stratosphere. You ready? Me too. Let's get to work. All right, today I am so excited to have with me Shanadra Washington in the CPTV studios to drop some expert brand knowledge on all of you out there watching. Shanadra is known for being a polished and articulate speaker that encourages others to stand firm in their subject matter expertise and helps them tell both their personal and brand stories more effectively. And we all know how important storytelling is in marketing and business and just in entrepreneurial success. She believes that your stories matter and you must know how to tell it. And Shanadra and her PR firm, Black Orchids PR, has received numerous awards, been featured in dozens of media outlets, and has been seen on a number of stages. She is a speaker, she is a brand communications expert, and she is a best-selling author of Seen and Not Heard: The Invisible Impact of Black Women. That is like some Black girl power, y'all. So I would like to welcome to the CPTV studio, Shanadra. Hey, Shanadra.
Hey, Cheryl, what a pleasure to be here. And like you already got me ready for your stage with that powerful introduction. So thank you so much for extending your space and your energy to me. I don't take that lightly.
Thank you so much for being with me. I just knew that you had so many gems, so much knowledge to drop on our audience, because really for so many entrepreneurs, figuring out how to establish a brand, to kind of, even if they aren't the brand, even if their business has a different name and it's not their name, having a personal brand, being able to connect with your audience, making sure that your business has a brand is so critical in today's market, way more than it used to be. When I got started so many years ago, it was like, if someone didn't know who you were and didn't really necessarily know your brand, it was okay because you could just buy your way in. But now we know in marketing, there is so much opportunity for consumers to click away, swipe away, ignore, never click, all of those different things, that having a brand and establishing yourself virtually, which I've come to realize is almost as difficult, if not more difficult, than actually being able to see someone face to face. But having that important brand is critical. And I knew that you would be the person to bring that knowledge, especially to my entrepreneurs who are in the beginning stages or who are kind of in that growth stage of kind of bringing their business to the next level. So I'm excited to have you drop that knowledge on them and give them some real, true tips and tools around how to be successful in creating that brand. So I want to get started with, I think, what everybody wants to know, right? What do you think is, where do you think, or what do you think is the best place to start when you are building a personal brand, from the beginning into the middle into the end? Where should you start when you're just getting started building?
And this is very important. I want you guys to get this clearly. It starts on paper. And you're saying, what do you mean by that? Because people jump to these personal brands and they don't really realize their best gifts, their best talents, their accolades, their journey. And they don't take that personal time with themselves to have a place to record all of that and write it. Because a personal brand is a kind of a combination of a bunch of different things, right? Sometimes it's the win, sometimes it's the story, which we'll talk about. Sometimes it's the accolades and the certain things that you've done in terms of legwork. And we're so busy, sometimes we forget that. So when I start my mastermind questioning with my clients, okay, all right, because we're going to go through some questioning to understand who you really are, because sometimes you will forget that.
Yeah, because authenticity, right, is critical. I think that's a perfect point to make. You got to kind of start on paper, and that you take your clients through that. Let's get to know who you are, because number one, not everybody really knows who they are, where they're comfortable. And sometimes when you have to put your face out there, you get stressed out, you have anxiety, and you become a whole different person. So getting it down on paper, that's okay. That is a great tip. I mean, I wish I would have probably done that. It took me a minute to really figure out where I was comfortable in my brand. And then I realized it's okay, girl, to like hip hop and R&B. It's okay to let people know that you love movies. It's okay to let people know that, you're a mom and that you love animals and that you're in a sorority and all of those things. Because in the beginning, I was like, no, I have to always have this very professional, like I have it all together thing. But I've learned over the years, no, the authenticity is really, what works. So when you have people put it down on paper, and they start to brainstorm kind of who they are, what are some of the questions that you kind of ask them to document?
Number one, I say, what do you like? What do you actually like? You know what I'm saying? Because in a world where everything's moving so quickly, we just jump onto what's hot. But do you really like that? And I know that sounds very simple, but it's these small questions that get those wheels kind of going to figure out, okay, what am I doing? Does it make sense? Is it intentional? Who am I? You see, when you get this kind of stuff very clear, you're saying, what does it have to do with a brand? It has everything to do with the brand. So we do that. And then I will ask them something from a long time ago. Like, what did you do in high school? Did you run track? Because I think we forget our journeys. So when people are saying, like, what have I overcome? And I call them Whitney Houston because they say, I have nothing. I say, oh, baby, you do. You have plenty. It's just that you have not gone through the proper steps. Don't laugh at me, Cheryl. Just
girl, rest her soul. I just was thinking, God rest her soul, Whitney. Girl.
But it's true. And then when I get them to thinking about, okay, what have you overcome? What are these things that you can tell that will help maybe women or children, whatever you're trying to reach in terms of your target? What part of these things can they resonate with, and how do you tie it into a personal brand? So we understand a few things. We start asking them, well, what type of people would you like to attract? What does your ideal client look like? This is a part of the journey to help you not understand, number one, like, what is your sweet spot, but what are they looking for? And what are their ticks?
Something that you just said to me just really resonated. Like, what have you overcome? And I think that's, and you and I talked about this before, right? How hard it has been for me to transition into sharing the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Because sometimes heartbreak is perceived to be a weakness.
Yeah.
And it opens you up. You have to be vulnerable, right? You have to open yourself up, especially in a digital world, to people judging you or, drawing conclusions about your experience. And so I was very, very limited in wanting to share the heartbreak, the journey that I've gone on, what really triggered, the journey that I'm on now and the business that I've built to this day. And just recently, with your help and the help of others, I have become more comfortable sharing that heartbreak. But what do you tell someone when they say, well, yeah, I've overcome a ton, but I don't really want everybody all up in my business and to know what I've overcome? What do you tell them in order to help them feel more comfortable in sharing the complete journey that's really going to attract that person that they can identify with? Because I think sometimes you think that your journey is like singular and no one else has ever experienced it in life, right? So what do you tell people when you're telling them, no, I need you to pull from that pain, because that's when that emotion is going to come out, and that's when you're going to attract that right person, like you said.
Yeah, well, first of it stems from my story and my story of having to kind of overcome pain or whatever, and I'm pretty transparent with that. And I tell them, like, do you think I woke up just out of the blue and started telling the story like this? Do you really think that I just rolled over after the pain and started to flow like this? No, ma'am. It was strategy. It was everyday conditioning of my mind. See, we think that when we jump into anything, we just go into it full throttle. No. It's strategies and systems for certain things. So no, I'm not saying that tomorrow you're going to be able to go on a stage and tell that pain. But if you're committed to the journey to, number one, understanding why that pain happened and the revelation that you got from it, do you know how much easier it gets to share that to reach the next person? So it's little tips and tricks on kind of giving people those teasers. Maybe it's one scene of the whole movie and not the whole movie, is what we tell right now, till we build that confidence, and kind of that suite of strategy up to get there. I don't want you to feel like, tomorrow is going to be the day that we tell all. It just doesn't work like that. You're human. You have to understand that you too are are doing something different, most of you guys, because most women that look like me, they're not accustomed to telling stories, okay? I want to be very clear about that. So I am not naive in the sense that I'm thinking that there's this magic thing, but I do know that with love, community, and support, and you choosing you have the power to do a lot more than what you're probably thinking through your story.
I think that was the shock for me, you know, because when I finally started telling the story, you would not believe how many of my CPTV family and just you know, people that I guess follow me had came out and was like, girl, I was in the same, like was your ex-husband and my ex-husband the same people? Like, what's his name?
Okay.
Because I was in shock. Like, I thought it was just mine. I thought that I would be perceived as, you know, stupid or, you know, whatever. Because as a Black woman, as you know, we always have to be, as a Black woman, as an entrepreneur, as someone who has fought her entire career to be taken seriously, and to not be doubted. I felt like sharing that story was a weakness in my judgment, almost, because of what I went through. And I was absolutely shocked to find out how many more people reached out and was like, girl, we have the exact same story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm getting used to sharing more stories. And like you said, but strategically.
Yeah.
Being strategic has helped me feel comfortable because, you know, I don't share all of my experiences right now, but there are certain pieces of content that we're working on behind the scenes that, you know, I have a particular story that makes more sense to go along with that. So that's when I share that story. I like to make sure that it's kind of relevant to the content. Like, you know, when I really realized in my business how important processes were. And because I'm naturally predisposed to creating those processes, I thought, well, you know, it just is what it is. That's just what I do. And it's no big deal until I was diagnosed with cancer and had to shift my entire focus from going to work every day and being at the helm. And I just had to pray that all those years of processes that we put in place were going to work, because regardless of mentally whether I felt like I'd be able to get through the day and not worry about it, it became a point in my treatment where physically I just wasn't able to. And you have no idea how critical and how important and how much of a smile it brought to my face to know that, I mean, I even at one point, I think I was 4 days post-treatment, and I came to the office swearing up and down, girl, that it was going to be burnt down and that my team was just going to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And I walked in and they're like, what are you doing here? We got this. Turn around.
That's amazing.
Take your butt home. And so, like, I haven't shared that story about everything, but there is a piece of content. There is a category of content that I will be sharing with my CPTV audience coming up where that story is relevant. And so that's that strategy that you were just talking about, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you feel more comfortable when it makes sense to tell it, right?
Absolutely.
So if you had to pick, because I know you probably got a toolbox full of hammers and screwdrivers and saws, but if you had to pick 3 top strategies from that toolbox of yours that you could provide to our audience and to our CPTV family, that an entrepreneur can do and can use to build a profitable, I think that's the key word, girl.
I love that. I love that.
Brand, a profitable personal brand. What would your top 3 strategies be for them?
The first one is, and this one, like I say, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You have to power your inner voice. That's the number one catalyst, right? To the outer voice. Because sometimes we like to point the finger. Oh, he said this, or she said this, or she said I couldn't fit in this clique. But if you're careful, if you're really, really careful and you're listening to what yourself tells you, that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, we're hard on ourselves for sure.
We
talk about ourselves worse than anybody else can.
We will do this self-sabotage thing. I'm not worthy to be in that room. My product and service is not good enough. I'm too new. I don't have this. I don't have that. Oh, you know it, Cheryl, because you know I'm speaking the truth here, because that inner voice, until you can fuel that and shift it to where you are more likely to be your own advocate versus the person that self-sabotaged you the most, That's where the magic happens, right? And I love to tell and insert this piece of my story because people never believe this, but this is testament to my inner voice. I was awkwardly shy.
No.
Go check my real social media and ask the people that you that you see connected to me and ask them.
Really?
And I said you can go and ask them. Couldn't get up. Always had the tools internally to be intellectual and finish my work and make high grades. And to be honest, that part of me actually became a shield because if I could just work hard, I ain't never got to talk. If I just go over there and bam that project out, I never got to talk, Cheryl.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And that actually became a crutch for me because what was happening was that hard work wasn't enough. I had to sometimes stand up and say, no, that does not work. No, that does not feel good. No, I will not allow you to treat her like that. The work wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, Cheryl. It wasn't enough. So when I understood that I had to tell myself, no, Shanadra, if you were around this, if you hadn't done good enough, they would have got rid of you a long time ago. This is talking about when I was at my job. These are things, right? So every day, unwavering. Shanadra, you're worthy.
And you say those things to yourself out loud.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day. I said, Shanadra, your life is changing. You see trajectories changing. I find myself in rooms and it starts to kind of creep up like, what are you doing here? How did you even get in here? I say, you worthy, you made it.
Your heart starts pounding all hard.
And I like to share the journey because people think that it's like a one-stop shop. This is a continuing thing.
100%, girl. It's
continuing
thing.
So number one, we got to say power that inner voice. And
that's so true. It really, how you react and how you function in situations is directly impacted with how you feel.
Absolutely.
And I would say that if I could add to your strategies, now that you've said that, one of my strategies is having a morning ritual to kind of get my mind right every single morning. Like, I know on days when I oversleep or I'm just too tired to do my regular morning ritual, my day is just not the same. I don't walk with that same level of confidence. And I, in turn, don't get a whole lot done because I've skipped that morning ritual. And, a lot of successful people are millionaires and are billionaires in this world. They will tell you one thing they have in common is they take time for themselves every morning for a certain ritual, right? And mine includes those affirmations. Mine includes my grateful journal. Mine includes like 20, 25, sometimes 30 minutes in complete silence. And I think that that's an amazing tool and strategy. You got to fuel that inner voice every single day.
Every day.
Every day. What would you say your second most sharpest tool in the
I love this one because I had to master this and still working on it. It says elevator pitches and introductions matters. Every single one. Every single one.
I agree.
Because, when I'm at networking events, because I teach this stuff, part of me is fighting myself because part of me needs to get in there and do what I'm supposed to do, network. But the other part of me is the researcher that's monitoring the room and seeing and listening to what I said. What? And I'm like a coach, like, oh, don't say that.
Right.
I'm going,
yes.
So when I'm at networking events, I'm battling because the craft in me and what I teach comes to life, and I want to get that on the ground data. I want to see what they're saying. I want to see who's leaning in. I want to study the communication and vibe of the room. But I'm like, okay, Shanadra, do the networking too now. Okay,
you're supposed to be meeting somebody, girl.
You too are.
You want to pull them to the side and say, listen, I don't have a whole lot of time. I want you to go do this.
I want you to go back. And I've actually on the ground, I've told people, no, please go back over there and say this. All right. Don't leave this room without saying that to 3 people. And it's on the ground, like, Shanadra, cut it out. You do what you're supposed to do and you network, but I can't turn that off because that's who I am. I'm a teacher by nature and I like to research. So I do that. But you know what? You have to be able to let people know who you are and who you serve very quickly. This is a very fast moving world. You and I both know, even on social media, we're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I can watch 25 TikToks. And if you ask me at the end of those 20, which one stood out, it's going to be a certain thing, right?
That you connect with. right? That you connect with,
that
that thing
you
that you
connect with.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, I want, when you come in, you should have a 30, 60, and a 90-second introduction prepared, and that's tailored to the room that you're going into. Right?
That's critical.
Critical, because all of my introductions are not the same, Cheryl. If I'm
They're
going to
not.
a corporate partner, it's this. If I am going to maybe like a more lax networking event with new small business owners, it's this. Shanatra doesn't use the same introduction for everyone. It's not a one size fit all. And you have to be smart enough to know that.
And go in with a goal, right? Go into those networking events with a goal. And once you've accomplished that goal, then you can relax. You know, like for me, I'm good for now. I'm at the point in my career where if I get invited to a networking event and I finally decide I'm going to go, I'm always like, can I get a list of people who are on the invitee list or who's made RSVP'd? Because I need to find some people on that list that I am too old to just be going from networking event to networking event to networking event. I'm just too busy. But if I see 3 people, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to follow up with him anyway. Let me go on there. So then I've got 3 people or 3 goals or a major goal that I need to accomplish, and I can't shut it off and actually have a glass of wine until that goal happens. So I love that strategy. I love it. And what would you say is your third one to build that profitable personal brand?
And we've talked about this already, but it's going to be power up your story. Okay. And I mean, not just telling a story, but just like it goes back to what we just talked about that being intentional. Which is the best story to tell to this audience? How do I want them to feel after I tell this story? So I'm going to my thesaurus and I am inserting some words. This is going to be a wordplay journey because I want them here with me to get to that goal. So sometimes when I hear stories, I think about my favorite storytellers and I think about what part of it makes me go, oh, for like what? And I try to replay that. So like when I'm getting ready for a stage, I'm gonna watch Viola Davis. I'm gonna watch Robin Roberts. I'm gonna watch it because they're some of my favorite storytellers. And you're thinking about Shanatra, that you're gonna think about things differently from this conversation because you're gonna, when you look at TV, when you look at the people that actually make you feel, you're like, oh, what did they just do here?
Yes, I was just thinking that when you said it, I'm like, it took me a long time to wrap my arms around what people connect with. And, you know, like I have a whole group of my best friends in this world, you know, we grew up together and they love reality TV. They love reality TV. And I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of TV. You know, I'm a big reader. So if I watch TV, it is like on the way to bed, something that has zero mind involvement. Is usually decorating shows so I can fall asleep on it and not feel guilty. But don't let me lay there at night and watch or listen to a podcast. That's the worst thing I can possibly do. A good podcast that I love, because I'm gonna be up till 2:00 in the morning because the stories. And that's why people, I couldn't figure out the first time my daughter, my 17-year-old made me watch the other day, Dance Moms. So I'm a dance mom. She's been a dancer since she was 3. We did the whole competition dance thing, you know, the whole thing behind the stage, girls crying, you know, I never experienced that because my daughter, you know, knows that her mother will walk out. This is all optional. We ain't getting paid.
I love that.
but she was like, we got to watch Dance Moms, Mom. And even though I felt like it was complete garbage, I couldn't stop watching it.
See?
I couldn't stop watching the stories. And I kept turning to her saying, is this for real? Like, is this really, you know? And then that when they cut to the mom, you know, sharing the passion of the daughter, then I would connect like, yes, I remember my baby girl being 4 years old and just saying, Mom, I just want to win. And I was like, I cannot get out of this smut because of these stories. That's what you want your story to do, right? To just those people who can connect, because I am not someone that you would put on the list of the dance moms ideal audience. I probably am not on that list. But I mean, now we're on like season 2 or some craziness.
Oh, wow. And I've never seen the whole episode, but I've definitely kind of seen it in passing. But yeah, I could see how, but you know, reality shows kind of has a way of doing that kind of too. I mean, I'm definitely not a reality show girl. Like in my lifetime, there's maybe been a couple that I've, you know, maybe dabbed in here and there, but You have people that say exactly what you said. Sure, I don't really like all that drama, but it was something about
It's the
it was
story.
something about that. Or I liked her so much because she went through XYZ, or she handled her business this way. It's something about that persona and that energy that's gonna resonate. And
Mhm.
I don't care what you're selling. I really don't. You know, like I said, I've had different experiences. I've had to storytell even when pitching my business to corporations. There's a storytelling component to say, this is why you need me.
Why do you think that stories are so important? I mean, it took a lot of pounding in my head for me to say I know they're important. I mean, I always knew they were important, but I was like, but that don't mean I need to tell them. But now I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. I'm all in. So don't get
Okay.
me. But why do
Okay.
you think that they're so important, especially as you're building a brand to tell your story? Why is telling stories and sharing your personal experiences and where you've come from and where you want to go? Why is that so important to building that successful brand piece and connecting?
You get to take a person on a journey with you. There's a lot going on in the social media world and other places, but the reality is it's probably about 10% of people that are really doing something with social media. And what I mean by that is that people are looking for leaders and tribes and trying to find their place, right? And I always say that, you know, I tell people all the time, like, and we talked about this, you know, a week ago, and I said, you know, I am in a space in my energy where I am meeting my tribe. I am meeting people. It doesn't seem like I'm supposed to be meeting them. These
Yeah.
stories have been gateways to that. Cheryl and I met on a panel where we were sharing our stories. Look where we're at today. I live by this. It is a part of who I am. So where I am in my energy says that, Sinead, it's not about, oh, blasting your business, but look how many connections.
It's about the connection. That's the word. That's the word I was trying to think of. I'm like,
how many
word.
connections you've gotten since you've gotten serious about this storytelling and having strategy about it. And even with me being as open as I am, people still know that she's still that kind of same introverted, reserved girl that she was, you know, a decades ago. But the part of me says, there are people that are connected to this part of my story. And I keep telling Cheryl this as well. There are people that are needing to hear that from your voice, your lens.
Get that connection. And that's what people are looking for. That's what you're scrolling. That is, I mean, when I think about the people that I actually, because I don't follow a whole lot of people on social media. I might, I'm the, you know, scroller, but I'm not going to necessarily click that. Please guarantee that your stuff is going to show up on my feed unless I've really connected with you. And there's there's a TikToker that I love, and she's Asian actually, but she loves 90s R&B.
Oh, wow.
She loves 90s R&B. I mean, at first I thought,
is this trendy kind of?
yeah, she's just trying to like get all up in the culture, you know, what, you know. So I was like, let me do some investigating. Let it really figure out if this is legit. But no. Like knows all of them, knows the 70s songs that they came from type. So whenever her content shows up, and she's usually just like playing 90s R&B stuff, because she's like, you know, grew up in the 90s and goes back and talks about blowing on the cassette tape and waiting until the radio played your song to hit record and all that stuff. And we connect on that level because that nostalgia that she brings back on me. And I love music. I mean, it just gets me through hours and hours and hours worth of work. And my preferred music is R&B, and my number one preferred is 90s R&B because I think it's the best R&B out there. So we connect on that level, and nobody would ever expect. She's not a business guru. She's not you know, she's not even an entrepreneur. I think she has like a whole full-time job, and I don't even know if she has kids or anything. But that little piece, because she's always dancing in her kitchen, doing some housework, or sitting at her computer in a 90s R&B song, and then she'll celebrate what songs are turning 25. It's all about 90s R&B. I love her. That's that connection. That's that connection that we talk about. How does someone begin to be strategic in their story? I know we didn't talk about this one, but I think that this is going to be really beneficial for the audience. How do you begin to be strategic in your story? Do you document it and like write it out? Or, I mean, I know for me, the first step that I did was I literally wrote bullet points of moments in the story. So what do you recommend for someone when they need to be strategic in the story and document You know, even if let's say it's their origin story, how they got started in business.
Okay, so this is kind of coupled. So I have a brag book, right? I give to my clients, right? And this helps them, right? Because we're busy. It has to be documented. It goes back to point number one, that being on paper. Because 2 weeks from now, I might not just remember a story that even happened to me. So even like, for example, if there's something big that I've gone through, especially business related, I kind of come back, what did you learn? That type of thing. What are the goals or whatever? So you need to definitely write it down. You need to always, especially of your accomplishments, you must have a brag book. You must say, I don't care if it's you had a goal to get up and walk down the block 10 times this week. You need to record that, because when it also to make you a better conversationalist, you can have better conversations. You know, I will kind of go back and look at some of the things that really seem very trivial and things of that nature, where I would go and look at a particular story or have a story, and it seems like I'll be aligned, and I'm like, dang, this seems so random, but I'll meet somebody in the grocery store that had I was like, oh, I just watched something on TV like that. And I think about the feeling part of it a lot. Here's the other part of it. I'm going to be very transparent with you. If you don't have a propensity for knowing how to storytell, you better get some help. And that's another part.
It don't come natural.
That's another part that we overlook. I will give you the basics as best I can. But if you know that is something that is a struggle for you, get some help. Invest in yourself. And that's the kind of investing that's going to pay you for, because that's what's going to propel you forward. Your story, your voice. That's what's going to help you. So if you need help developing your voice, you better get that help, because that's what's going to propel you. Okay.
Yes, especially if you are a speaker. Like, I mean, I think that I first learned how to tell stories being a speaker, because otherwise everybody is going to be bored and falling asleep during a 1 hour speech if there's no stories involved. But I think that my difficult story, for me, my origin story, and even understanding the difference between conversion stories and origin stories and connection stories. I mean,
a big difference, guys.
There's a science to it, right?
Girl, you dropping some more gems.
I'm sorry, but my origin story, girl, it's such an emotionally draining story. The one that I mentioned in the beginning that I was just like adamant about not sharing, because that self-talk, that inner voice that you mentioned. I had to write down notes, record myself saying it, teach and give myself feedback. Girl, that's just too much. Girl, you done rambled over here. Girl, you about to cry over here. And then keep re-recording myself, and then have other people who know me watch it. So, and then people who didn't know me watch it to connect with whether or not they felt like it was authentic. So I didn't even know that coaches like you existed, girl. Coaches that coach people and train people on how to be effective storytellers and get comfortable in that space. So y'all, you found out here on CPTV, I'm just telling you, they exist. Okay, Shanadra is one of them. If you are trying to you know that you cannot market effectively, you cannot attract your tribe, you cannot be successful in marketing, you cannot sell. If you can't tell stories, and if you can't sell, you don't have a business, you don't have any money. Let's just keep it real. You know how I am. If you can't sell, you can't make money, you don't have a business. So if you don't know what to start, where to start, you need to reach out. You need to make sure that you have someone that can help you develop, document, record, give you feedback so that you can streamline it, because that's the only place that comfort comes from. That's when you become comfortable in that space, when you can actually do that. So 100%. I love that. Okay, so one of my last questions I'd like to wrap up with, and then we want to make sure that everybody here knows how to get in touch with you, because I think that your skill set and what you specialize in is absolutely critical to entrepreneurs at all levels. I know entrepreneurs who are over $1 million who still don't tell good stories, right? They
I know too.
Powerful call people that can set up a powerful appointment setters, but they still don't have the automated incoming lead stream that can put their business on autopilot so they can ultimately experience that freedom that I'm believe in and that I'm trying to empower the audience with, but what is your favorite way? Your favorite way to get out there and to kind of put that brand out there so that you can begin to establish it and grow it and build it?
Listen to me clearly. Please be consistent. I cannot stress this enough, and I don't have a lot of fancy because we tread over this kind of stuff that seems so simple, but it catches us up every single time. You must be consistent. You have to understand that, especially, and I get trouble from people that are transitioning from jobs, and I have to break it down, so sometimes it's tough. I said, now, if you were required at a minimum to be there 40 hours.
Right. Why can't you give it to yourself?
Not only that, but the expectancy shouldn't be that if you've given 8 to yours this week, month, whatever it looks like, that you're probably going to see some fruit of it's just not a correlation. It's biblical. It's not even a correlation. It talks about seed and harvest. It's not, see, we tread over little things that seem like it doesn't have anything to do with a brand, but I'm here to tell you, if you're not consistent, you're going to see inconsistencies in your customers, your paycheck, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. The quickest way.
Your success.
This is another thing that has to be on paper. If you know that you're just starting out, you got to say, okay, day 1 through 30, how am I going to show up in my business today? Is that an email to somebody? Is that a social media live post? Is that a networking event? It doesn't just fall out of the sky. So you have to understand that consistency is going to matter. It's going to fuel that muscle. And don't be shocked that if you only talk about your business once a month, that month 12, you're still struggling. I talk about mine every day.
Every day.
Every day. I talk
about every conversation.
And nearly every conversation, there is some type of mention of that. So that's why it's so important to be consistent to build that muscle. Because it should not be, I understand we knew, and just like you told me about some millionaires that I've met millionaires now, and I'm trying to understand their business model. I say, what? Okay, I say, seriously, just be playing with me. We're going to go over here to the corner. Not in front of all these people. This is going to be, what you do now?
What you do? Because if you are consistent, then you'll automatically, like, I get people that call me all the time or reach out and they're like, so-and-so told me to call you. And I'm like, who's so-and-so?
See?
Like, in my mind, who is so-and-so? But in some way, shape, or form, so-and-so remembered that I work with startup entrepreneurs, or that I ultimately help, growth stage, mature stage, and startup entrepreneurs build their structures and their systems and their strategies and their processes and their businesses, because I get the reach out, and it's because it's on autopilot. Like you said, it's just, what do you do? Well, I empower entrepreneurs, it's
right.
just like a common thing. And people can't refer you to others. People can't recommend you to others. People can't share your stuff. People can't save your post. The algorithms can't find you. I mean, all of those things, if you aren't consistent and consistent over a period of time, right?
Come on, Cheryl.
Not just consistent for a week, maybe not even a month, but to be consistent in your business for a period of time. It is not going to happen overnight. You can't do your business full time for 3 months and say, it's not working, I give up.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that, and people, I mean, and believe it or not, like, I left corporate America in 2021, right? I had a 13-year financial services sector, did everything from anti-money laundering to risk management to customer service to project management. Every year I had a new role, right? So like I said, I'm gonna get the job done. But, I didn't see the biggest shift until this started opening up more. And it was much quicker for me to train, because people are like, dang, well, how has it only been since you, in August of 2021, that you've been a full-time entrepreneur? You've done this, you've been consistency.
Yeah.
Every day I choose me. Every day Sinead touch Black Orchids PR. Every day Black Orchids is worthy. Every day it's going to meet the people that it needs to meet. Every day it's changing lives. Every day somebody's finding. Every day.
Every day.
Because I remember a time when I was sick, back hurting, new mom, and I still went to work. Grandparents sick, toothache. I still showed up, Cheryl.
Yes.
And I still showed up and did quality work. So no. You're not new to consistency, darling. You're not, that's not new for you. Well, no, you got the meat and the structure to do that. So this showtime over here. It's showtime.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Y'all, we can go on because when we first met, the energy, even though our meeting was virtual, it was off the chain. And I was like, I have got to have Shanadra on. She got some serious gems, some serious knowledge. It is Women's History Month. It is Black Women's History Month. You know, that's what I always say, because it's all Women's History Month, y'all. But I thought to myself, this is some true gems that I think that if you are focusing your business on building that brand, the arsenal that you can walk away with from them, this has been absolutely amazing. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, and also where they can get this book, because this all talks about finding your voice and being comfortable in your voice. And it is a great place to start in building those stories, especially if you are a Black female entrepreneur. I think that who we identify with, we know that story, we know that experience. But I think that it doesn't matter if you are a Black female entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur of all colors, this book can be impact. So where can people find you? Where can they get your book?
You can find me, my most prominent platforms is Facebook and LinkedIn. On my personal page is Shanadra Washington. They'll have those details for you. And if you go to getseenandheardnow.com, you can not only get the book, but we also too have a free gift there for you that you can download as well. So when you go over there, a pop-up will come up, you put your email in and it will send it directly to you. And that is a pop-up that says that signs that your voice is hidden, because some of you might not even know that it's hidden, but it actually is. So you can also too go over there and take advantage of your free gift. Again, that's getseenandheardnow.com.
Getseenandheardnow.com. Guys, those links will be in the description below. It also just popped up on your screen, obviously, but they'll be in the description below. We'll also make sure that they are in the comments for you to get access to them. Thank you so much for joining us today. Girl, we can have a whole nother episode on just step-by-step how to break out your story. That sounds good. Guys, if you want to know more about how to build that story, what types of stories there are, please put that in the comment down below so that we can get that feedback. And then Shanadra and I can pick another day to come on and talk to you and break that down even further. Thank you so much for coming in here today, girl. I appreciate your time. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before we head on out?
No, sure, that is it. I want to say this one thing. Bet on you. It's worth it.
All right, y'all. Until next time, my loves. See you soon. Bye-bye. Mwah.